While sheriffs in Florida invite you to shoot home intruders on site,
If somebody's breaking in your house, you're more than welcome to shoot them in Santa Rosa County. We prefer that you do, actually.
here in France, we Frenchies have another way of dealing with that. In this video, we will be going over Légitime Défense, which is self-defense. And I will be answering the question, can I shoot people that come into my house at night in France? Stick around to find out. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video of Tennis at the Range. Today, we're gonna be tackling self-defense laws in France and comparing it to the United States because for most of the world, the United States is the baseline in self-defense.
Give me a hell yeah!
I will be going over real life cases that happened right here in France. And I will also be going over the different laws and the different concepts of self-defense that we have here. Self-defense only applies for humans. So if you have a bobcat that's trying to eat your ass, you know who you are, then you can just shoot that thing to smithereens. This obviously goes without saying, but it is not legal advice. Do not take any advice from a retard like me on the internet. If you have a problem, go to a lawyer. This is purely educational. And as always, if you enjoy the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. But most importantly, comment down below, how is self-defense where you live? Let me know. What can you do in France to defend yourself? Nothing. Thank you very much for watching. Take care. No, but more seriously, what can we actually do to protect ourselves here? Let's begin with Article 122, which is where self-defense is codified in France. The first part of the article, which is 122-5, is general legitimate defense. This means that there is no criminal liability if you're facing an unjust attack on you or on others. The act must be necessary at the moment and be proportional to the threat. Regarding property theft, you only have to interrupt the crime.
No, stop! What are you doing?
This means that no, you cannot shoot someone for stealing your TV. Whether that should be the case or not, that's not up to me. In Article 122-6, this introduces a crucial presumption of self-defense, which is shifting the burden of proof to the prosecution. This part applies when you repel a night entry into an inhabited place by breaking in, or you defend against perpetrators that are committing theft with violence and aggression. This presumption could justify shooting if the threat is immediate, because it is often considered that at night things can go wrong way faster.
Bravo 6, going dark.
However, the response of self-defense needs to be proportional. In the last part of the article, which is 122-7, we have the state of necessity. This state of necessity means that you are justified in defending yourself if it is absolutely essential, if you have no other way out. But again, it is subject to proportionality. So to resume Article 122 and all its smaller parts, we have Article 122-5, which is general legitimate defense. We have Article 122-6, which is the presumption of self-defense. And at last, we have Article 122-7, which is the state of necessity. Regarding guns like these in self-defense, am I allowed to use them when someone is attacking me?
Shoot this motherfucker!
Well, that depends. As I went over in my previous video, I am allowed to have guns here in France. However, there's a lot of steps. If you want to watch this video, it's going to be linked below in the description. But for this specific type of gun, which is a Glock 45, it needs to be in a safe separate from the ammo. That means that if someone breaks in my house, I need to go in my safe, open it, and then grab the ammo, and it's quite a long process. I can use my firearm to defend myself if I respect all the parts that I went above, which is Article 122-5, 6, and 7, that the threat is imminent, I cannot escape, and it is proportional. Now you might be wondering, what is this concept of proportionality?
What is that?
And this is where it gets, you'll see. To make a long story short, proportionality means that you cannot outmatch your attacker. What does that mean? If someone starts attacking you with only their punches, the only thing you can answer with is punches. If the attacker comes at you with a knife, then you can, I guess, pull out your knife and start having a knife fight. But if he's just punching you and by whatever reason you're carrying a knife, which you're not allowed to, and you defend yourself with a knife against the guy that's just using his knuckles and is off the perk, then you're not gonna make it. Going back to this carrying a knife part, you cannot carry a knife unless you have a good reason, and most of the time going to the grocery store is not often a good reason. Now obviously this concept of proportionality makes a lot of sense, Why would you want to have an advantage over someone that's trying to attack you? You always have to be equal because remember, we are all equal. This means that when the Americans were in Afghanistan, they should drop all their gear and start fighting the Taliban back with sandals. This is something that completely makes sense and is totally rational.
It's like what you guys are doing?
Yeah.
No, it's actually very smart.
So now that we went through all the laws, the concept of proportionality and the fact that I own a gun, how, in my case, would it be acceptable to drill an invader that's coming into my house? Well, there's 4 key conditions. The first one is immediacy. So has that person actively broken into my house and is a threat to me or my loved ones? That's first part, immediacy. Second part, necessity. Is shooting the home invader the only option I have? So am I locked away in my room with my loved ones and there's nothing else I can do or nowhere else to retreat? Third would be the concept that we went over, proportionality. Is the home invader armed and trying to actively threaten me and I have nowhere else to go? And lastly, it's property. Are they here only to steal or cause more harm? Let's say that if someone goes into my house and is armed but is not threatening me with violence, which, what? But in this case, let's just say that the person has broken into my house, it's night, he has a gun and he's here only to take my TV, then no, I cannot shoot him. However, if he's not coming after property, then that man is getting 6 rounds into the chest in 1.5 seconds. That's from draw. So remember, to make it justifiable, I always leave an unregistered firearm in the entrance of my house, so whenever someone comes in, I have a good excuse. For legal purposes, that is a joke, that is total sarcasm, that is not true. We love YouTube. The reasons why we have all those barriers to self-defense is that we don't want vigilantes.
We? Who's we? There is no we.
Which is the main reason why Batman is in Gotham City and not in Paris. Here, the closest thing we would have to him is maybe Ratman, because, I mean, if you walk around Paris at night, it's kind of disgusting. Now let's talk about past self-defense cases so we can kind of understand what went right and what went wrong. The first one was an ex-Foreign Legion legionnaire. It was at night, and as you know, in Europe in general, nothing good happens at night in train stations. The legionnaire was approached by a guy that was both drunk and high and pulled out a knife and started attacking them. There was a small argument before, but you get the idea. So the legionnaire fought back, again with proportionality, so he didn't pull out his knife, but he had his bare hands against the knife, so that is proportional. The threat was imminent because he was being attacked, so he fought back, and the recruiter that attacked him ended up stabbing himself and died from blood loss, which, how do you even lose a fight with a knife? But that's crazy, he didn't make it. This case was Légitime Défense because it met all the criteria that we went over before, but it still means that the soldier went through a long list of legal garbage just to be acquitted in the end. In 2013, there was a case where jewelry stores were being targeted all the time by thieves. For the case of Stefan Turk, it was a daytime holdup where the teenagers started beating him and threatened him with death, took the jewels and everything valuable and ran off. When they ran off, he grabbed his pistol and ended up shooting one in the back, killing him. Since this didn't meet all the criteria of self-defense and that young teenager had a very bright future ahead of him, he was convicted 14 times in juvenile court before, just for your information, our jeweler got 5 years in prison. There was also a famous case that sparked a lot of debate, which was booby traps. Back in the 70s, there was this man that had his garage and always had people breaking in and stealing stuff. So he ended up rigging a radio to shotgun shells that ended up killing the robber. It didn't meet all the requirements of self-defense and the man was charged. This means that unfortunately you cannot put a whole pound of tannerite in your Roomba and set it to explode whenever someone comes in and you're not home. Let's go over the comparison to the US. Since the United States politically is like 50 small countries, in some states, one thing is totally unacceptable in others. There's the concept of castle doctrine. This means that someone does not have the duty to retreat if they are being attacked in their own castle. So the castle can be the house, it can be the vehicle, it can be your apartment or whatever. If you're in a place that is yours, you do not have a duty to retreat and you can defend yourself. In some states, there is this duty to retreat, where if you can, then you must retreat and it is your duty to run away from the threat. In duty to retreat states, the only way of being able to defend yourself is when you absolutely cannot run away anywhere. And you're, I don't know, in an alley or something that you can't escape and you must absolutely defend yourself. But if the jury finds that you could run away somehow, then you will be charged. In other states, there's the stand your ground law. This is kind of like the castle doctrine, but a little wider, because it means that wherever you are, you have the right to defend yourself if someone is attacking you. You can counter an imminent threat wherever you are standing. So let's say if you're in the grocery store, you can stand your ground and use deadly force to stop the threat. Regarding property theft, that again depends a lot. Self-defense in the US could be a whole video regarding all the different states, but there are some states where you can shoot over property and some states where you cannot. And obviously, since most places in the United States you can carry, you can use your gun wherever. Whereas in France, if your gun is outside of your house and outside of the safe, you can get in a lot of trouble if you start defending yourself with it. So, in conclusion, in France, we have the Article 122, which means that self-defense needs to be proportional, under necessity, and states the general rules of self-defense. We can also use our guns to defend ourselves in our own houses under very, very specific cases, compared to the US, which has a much broader use of firearm, especially in stand your ground states. And in France, if your actions do not comply with all the requirements of Légitime Défense, then you're gonna be charged and you will go to jail. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you learned something. I know I went over everything quite fast, so if I missed something, let me know below in the comments. I want to keep it fun and interactive while still giving useful information. Thank you very much for watching. Dennis, out.